There we go. We should be recording now. Okay, perfect. All right, so today we are going to talk about, I'll give a little bit of a grant update. There's a little bit of conversation going across the country on cross-laminated timber, training mock-ups, things of that nature, pre-apprenticeship. We've got a lot going on with the justice impacted, as well as tribal trainings. So I'll kind of give a little rundown there. We've got Jason Quarter. He's on the phone actually. This time he's traveling around. He's going to give us a, as you all know, we kind of transitioned into preparing for this WPQ1 endorsement. And we had the first class last week, and he's also putting together that new National Training Fund app. So he's going to talk about that a little bit. Samson's going to give us a little MSHA update, little regional training center update, maybe a little bit on the Global Wind Organization. And then this time of year, Lee wanted me to kind of really emphasize and make sure that we talked about, suicide awareness, prevention, drug and alcohol abuse. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And then we've got some good stuff going on in the California Vicinity District Council, hosting some active shooter training, which is something that we don't think about a lot in our training programs. And so we're going to get some perspective from Jason Rafter on that. And then we'll get an update on the LMS from Bart. So that's our agenda for today. And then we'll open it up to Q&A at the end. So if anything that you guys have that you want to talk about or discuss, we'll have an open forum. So if there's no questions on that, seeing none, we'll move forward. So grant update, I just kind of wanted to talk about at the coordinators meeting, we talked how we were roughly about $2 million in grant funding across the country by all of the training programs focusing on pre-apprenticeships and new industries and stuff like that, moving into our arena. We're starting to see now a lot of movement for justice impacted grant funding coming out. We've got Local 29 out of Portland who just got a huge grant to do some justice impacted training. I think it was like $248,000 or $250,000 to do a pre-apprenticeship inside the correctional facilities in Oregon State. Also working with, I believe Local 29 and Local 86 out of Seattle are working with Tom Tanner on utilizing some grant funding for the tribal trainings. And so we've got some resources coming up on that. So if you're thinking about doing any of those or want to do any of those things or get into that space, or maybe you have a need but not the resources or materials to kind of do that, we've got some people that we can use as a template. So we've got another really cool grant down in California and vicinity. It's the ERISA grant, and they're kind of looking at that one down there. That one focuses mainly on community outreach and marketing our apprenticeship programs specifically to women. And it comes with a lot of supportive services like childcare while they're in these pre-apprenticeships and during apprenticeship, and supportive services and stuff like that. And as that moves forward, we'll probably have Rafter and Peterson talk about that. But if that's something you're looking at, they may be a good resource on that. We've got Brian. I just talked to Brian Brady a couple weeks ago over at Local 40. He's working on a grant for Global Wind Organization. They're looking at one for training and getting equipment and stuff for their training center. And I know that we've had a couple other locals over there on that east side be successful with getting that type of grant funding, including Local 5 doing the training and stuff. So if you need anything there, we've got a lot of those resources for you. So that's kind of the rundown on the grant stuff that's going on. The cross-laminated timber. So I had a couple different business managers reach out to me and ask if we had, as the National Training Fund, cross-laminated timber training. And we don't. We as the National Training Fund don't have a train the trainer curriculum. So I started to kind of dig around and go to work, and I got hooked up with Brian Brady over at Local 40, and they do cross-laminated timber training as a part of their registered apprenticeship program. They were able to reach out to one of the manufacturers and get these mock-ups donated, and they are really, really super cool. So we are going to get in touch with that manufacturer. I'm working with the Pacific Northwest District Council, California and vicinity right now to see if we can't, in some capacity, get these mock-ups donated to their training centers. And then Brian Brady has a really good curriculum outline that has, you know, all of the overall syllabuses, daily lesson plans, and stuff like that. So if that's something that you're interested in or seeing in your area or want to know more about, reach out to me. And that's all I got. Any questions on any of that stuff for me? I know that was a lot. Mike, you're unmuted. You got something?
Yeah, I was just going to tell him. So that laminated lumber that some of those buildings, I guess, are getting like 3-4 stories. I was talking with Brian Brady, 3, 4, 5 stories tall. So these are some, you know, it's not just that architectural stuff you see in a strip mall or something.
Yeah, that's true. I got a couple pictures of them and they are super, super impressive. There's one in Seattle. I don't know how many stories it was, but there was just a picture of iron workers standing around waiting for these carpenters to set these glue lamps, you know, and it's like, what do we do here? You know, and what I'm hearing is that a lot of our contractors don't want to go after the work because they don't necessarily, you know, even though we can do it. I mean, it's just a piece of wood. You just got to protect it and set it right and do all that stuff. I mean, anybody who's ever set any glue lamps back in the day, you know, can kind of understand some of that stuff. But so we're seeing a resistance kind of in our contractors moving into that scope. We're seeing kind of a lack of training in our apprenticeship programs on that specifically. And so we're just trying to kind of move forward and maybe address some of that stuff as the issues, you know, come out. And if it does get big enough and there is a huge demand for it, maybe we looked at, I talked to Lee and Samson the other day, maybe we look at, you know, get something with the National Training Fund eventually, but
James.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Matt Chapman with Local 14. So let me know, keep me in on that stuff, because we have 2 CLT facilities here. And we have one contractor that's working closely and setting most of the product coming out of the one facility. So if we need another route for mock-up material, let me know. We may have a couple of ends here.
Okay.
So, and
more
one
of that curriculum and the training documentation is what's really important too, James. And I know over here in Washington, L&I Labor and Industries is already designated that CLT is ironworker work, and we have it in our CBA already.
Perfect.
CLT is ironworker, is our scope of work.
Perfect.
Yeah, we've already put multiple letters of assignment to it also. So
okay, great. And I know Brian Brady was looking for a resource in kind of moving in that you know, that direction, having that definition. So I got him in touch with some of the folks up there in the Pacific Northwest. So hopefully we get that moving forward. Kendall, I see you have your hand up and you are muted, my friend. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So quick question on the curriculum. So do you know where Brian fits that into his core curriculum? I mean, what, you know, where does he put that in?
You know, that's a good question, Kendall, and I do not have the answer for that. I haven't got that far into it with him yet, but I will be, and I can definitely get back to everybody on that for sure. Yeah, and that's going to be kind of the thing is how do you know, like somebody was, I think, I don't know who was telling me last week, they're like, man, how much training can we have? You know, we got all this.
Well, the problem is that every time we add something, man, like we got to delete something, right? So like what, you know, what point do we figure out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to how Brian was doing it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I'll definitely get that info and put that together for everybody, and maybe we can talk about it at our next NTF. And if I get it sooner, I'll just send it out. But that is a good point, because you know, we all follow in these IACP guidelines and we have these classes kind of slated out and the puzzle pieces all put together. And if we're going to implement other training, how does it look? You know, is it just a journeyman upgrade? Is it outside the scope of the apprenticeship? And there's different things and ways that we can do it, but I'll definitely get some answers on that.
Hey, James, also one other resource might help you too is I was talking with one of our signatory contractors in Seattle here, and they have a contact up in Vancouver, BC. I guess they are doing a ton of CLT up there, and they're training to it at 97, and I guess they apparently have some sort of certification also.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good info. I appreciate that. Do you have contact info for that, Jack? Did you say?
Not yet. I just got the information. I was going to get with one of our agents this week and start talking to them and reaching out.
Okay.
But if NTF's on it now, I guess I can gear my efforts in other directions if needed.
I mean, it takes a full team, so definitely keep me in the loop on that. I mean, any information is good information. A lot of this stuff is successful because of the collaboration that we do, amongst each other across the country. So I would like to be in that for sure. Okay, cool. Anything else on the cross-laminated timber, justice impacted, tribal pre-apprenticeships, grants? All right.
Hey, James.
Oh, Jim, you got your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, James, I just got something from it. Looks like somebody wants to apply for an ERISA grant through DAS. And they want to go into partnership because they can't get the grant unless they're tied in with a registered apprenticeship program. I think I sent it off to Jason and get some feedback, but I don't understand. I mean, we shouldn't just agree to partner with people, right? I mean, I don't know what I don't know. So
yeah, you want to be careful with who you're partnering with. I would say I assume, and I know this is going through Rafter's mind right now. Anytime that any coordinator gets any type of solicitation for grant partnership, letters of support, any type of involvement in contract documents, I would definitely just run all that to Rafter and just say, hey, what do you want me to do here?
yeah, I did. I just sometimes it's like, if we're going to go in part, we should get money. It's not like you're just going to use us.
Correct.
It's like you're not getting the whole grant and we're getting right. I'm thinking the right way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you are.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between a support letter and partnership too. So we need to read those letters and make sure what it is. The partner that we are putting in for the Erica grant with, I do have the question in because I'm getting hit up with support letters for numerous other entities also. So I have a meeting with him, Jim, tomorrow.
From the Gladiator program? Or from the, yeah. I sent it to you just a little bit ago.
Right.
Jason. So yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna blow it off. It's actually the CWI at Olson hit me up because he's part of it now. And it's just like, I don't know. They reached out Friday and I said, I don't know. I said, I'm not gonna commit one way or the other. I gotta send it up the chain of command before I ever agree to anything.
Yep, that's a good move, Jim. And that's good for everybody in the group here. A lot of these times you'll have these grants that maybe you're applying for. There's also other people applying for them around you, and they might be reaching out to you and asking you for all this stuff. So, if you don't have somebody kind of above you in that capacity that you feel comfortable talking to, or maybe they don't have the knowledge, or they're like, I don't know, feel free to reach out to me. But if you do have a training director or something like that, make sure that you're utilizing them for sure before you commit yourself to any type of contractual obligation with trust funds,
And we don't want to exceed the amount that, is allowed per trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, could explain to me, why aren't we just getting the grants all together? Why do we need them at all? They need us. We don't need them. Why don't we get all the grants and open up our own little MC3 thing? We keep partnering up, but why don't we control it all and take all the money?
Yeah, that's I think that's as close as you can get to that, the better. But the reality is that oftentimes federal monies flood into your states to do this type of work. And there is a huge network of community-based organizations, pre-apprenticeship programs that suck up some of this grant funding. And that's kind of really been my whole push over the last year and a half is, you know, and at the end of the day, we as registered apprenticeship are the goal. We are the objective of all of this money. And so really taking the perspective and the position that you as registered apprenticeship should be in that pool, if not getting those monies first. But you have to have the structure, capability, understanding to, you know, to be able to capture that money. So you're right, Jim. And it is kind of a hard thing to do, and it takes a while, but you know, as long as you're.
And the dynamic of that grant too, Jim, it's, you know, when it comes to childcare and stuff like that, that there's certain, I don't know, components of that grant that I don't think that us as ironworkers really want to be part of, right? Which is why it's good to partner with somebody else. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll leave that up to you guys. I don't care. I mean, like I said, you know me, I'm not gonna commit to anything without shooting it up. The thing, I don't want to put myself on it, but yeah, so I'll just, you know, tell them to, hey, we're reviewing it. I responded back to her and said, you know, we're gonna review it and everything else.
Perfect. Tannehill, you got your hand up, buddy.
So when you're talking about like tribal grants, are you talking about funding that the federal government gave the tribe for them to disseminate into programs within their tribe?
Yeah, it does work that way too. I've done tribal pre-apprenticeships where that was the way it worked. The money came directly from the tribes. There's also money out there that you as an organization can capture from your Department of Labor or whoever to fund cohorts or pre-apprenticeships, where you would then reach out to all of the tribal organizations and put on these pre-apprenticeship programs to get their individuals into your program. So it can work both ways.
Okay, so set some time away after the first of the year to sit down with me and kind of go through that. I live on the Cherokee Nation Reservation. So with that, I mean, we're next to all of the 5 civilized tribes that got moved to Oklahoma during the removal, right? So if there's funding out there that Local 584 and Local 48 can use to get funding into their apprenticeship programs and get members in, most of our members are Native members anyway. So if we're not consuming some of that money and these tribal entities are just getting it for whatever they want to use it for, then that's not a very good funding mechanism for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right on the spot, man. I mean, if you know, and you just said it there, you're already taking these individuals into your program. So why not be getting compensated the cost of that intake, you know, through grant funding? Yeah. So it could be a good tool. Yeah, we'll get together and we'll continue that discussion as Local 86, Local 29, some of these other locals across the you know, United States, Canada start to work in some of that capacity. We'll be able to start building resources, but we've done them in the past. You know, I've put on a few actually when I was coordinator, and so we have some templates and we kind of know how to do it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of pros and cons to that space as well. Jack, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I'm working with WashDOT right now. I have a WashDOT grant for 4 pre-apprenticeships, and I'm talking with them right now about utilizing one of those cohorts to do it with the tribes, with one of the tribes, or we might even do a multi-tribe cohort here real soon, the next 6 months. Nice. So yes, it can work both ways, where the tribes can get the money, the grant money, or you can get if you get the grant money from like the state, like I did the WashDOT, you can, especially with this infrastructure bill, because a lot of the stuff, I mean, this is all their land. So, you know, get in partnership with them, you know, and work it to everybody's advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Something I would also point out with Jack's comments, you know, not only are they doing this stuff, but if you heard him, he had a completely separate grant that he got, and he is now looking at modifying those funds to be utilized in a different way, but still within the parameters of the grant contract. So, as you, as registered apprenticeship programs get grants, don't feel that you're kind of restricted in whatever the contract says or the structure says. A lot of times you can reach out to them and you can get an amendment to the contract. If you come up with some idea that you want to do something differently during the grant cycle, they are more than willing to, sit down and modify contracts. So something good to remember. Okay.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah. Closed mouths don't get fed. Or as Greg used to say, you can't steer a ship that ain't moving. So let's just start rowing. Anyway. Okay. Anything else before we move on? All right. Perfect. Good conversations. Okay, so we're gonna move down. Let's see, is Quarter still on here? Yep, he's still on here. Quarter, if you want to jump in and just give us kind of a little update on the WPQ1, how the QC47's looking, maybe on the app and stuff. We would, I know that we're all interested in that. It's a big thing right now.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's going to have a Merry Christmas. As of right now, AWS is still planning on coming out the first quarter with that QC 41 or 47, I'm sorry, and pushing that. Rather than that, I haven't got much information on that. I've had a few phone calls from different locals saying, well, how do we know it's going to come out? And when are we going to do it? And they're dragging their feet. And I get it. Okay. It's not pushed out as this is a mandatory thing we're going to have for the first of the year. I've been saying since the beginning, I found out about this, let's get on top of it beforehand, before everybody and their brother has to have it. AWS is still working on it. So with that course, I know that we just had one, Mike Peterson and Brad Gasway kind of hosted California District Council over there in Benicia, California. I appreciate them doing it. I was scheduled to be on that class. But at the last minute, the whole family got the flu, so I was unable to attend that last week. But I heard the class was very well. I would like anybody that had somebody that went and took that course, that takes the test and passes it, to get back with me or James or somebody on what was on the test, if they remember, and ways that we could improve that training to make sure that our passing rate's higher. And I'd like to know who took it and they took the prep course and then passed, if that would help us out a little bit too. I want to make sure that we're tailoring that course to make sure that everybody has the best passing rate as possible. With that, that's what I have with that. With the upcoming CWI prep class that's next month, probably going to get canceled. It's weird as I have 0 registrations for that right now. And a little bit of that I think is possibly AWS's on their end, is I don't have a signed contract with them. Everybody that I have been dealing with, they went through and let a bunch of people go. So we're back in the negotiations and trying to figure out getting not only the CWI bundle under pricing under control, but also the seminar question pricing and stuff like that under the control. But I think a lot of it also is, it seems like apprenticeships throughout the United States are holding CWI preps at their own home local through AWS. And when you're doing that, you're getting 2 free seats through AWS. And so the demand, it doesn't seem like for the CWIs are very high. We have quite a bit for the March one in Chicago, but not the Benicia one. So that's probably going to get canceled by the end of this week. Does anybody have any questions on those 2 items?
Hey, Quarter, Rafter here. The WPQ1 books, do you guys have a good stock of them? Is there plenty of books?
I think I have. Yeah, I think right now downstairs in the mail room, I think I have 25 sets, 30 sets left.
And
we're selling them for exactly what we buy them for.
Okay. And the one in January in Benicia has been canceled? So the next one after that
Yeah.
is going to be probably Chicago or something.
I believe so. I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Okay.
And so I do have them there for that.
Can we purchase those books even though we're not going to send somebody to Chicago or DC?
I would rather hold off. What I'm buying them for is exactly what AWS is selling them for, really. I'm just trying to make it more convenient so anybody can go online or call the bookstore down at AWS and order those 3 books, and they're going to get them for pretty much the exact same price.
Okay.
Is I'm getting it that 40% discount.
Okay, thank you.
And when it comes to, so I'll switch gears to the app right now. I hope everybody's getting those, that's registered for it, is getting those push notifications. I'm on a phone right now, so I can't see anybody's doing thumbs up or raising their hands or anything like that. So James, I'm gonna rely on you for that, James Owens. So if, I'm hoping everybody's getting those push notifications. I get them when I know something's going to change or class is going to be canceled or whatever. I try to push those out, especially with new listserv emails, because I know not a lot of people check those listserv emails. Is anybody having an issue with getting those, or is everybody liking it or not liking it?
I see heads nodding. I see thumbs up. Looks like people are getting it. I get them. The only thing that I noticed, and this is just my OCD freaking out on me, Quarter, but when you go in and check the notifications, they go to 0, like you've checked them all, right? And then the next time the notification comes through, it pops up. It's like 10 notifications or 5 notifications. So that number is for some reason isn't resetting after you check your notifications, which isn't a big deal. It just seems weird to me.
No, I agree. It's the same thing with me. And I look at it and I go, 10 notifications. What is that?
Yeah.
And then my mind goes right back to, well, did it send it out 10 times? No, that's not right. And then it gets reset. Yeah. So I'll look into that, see if I can figure out that a little bit more. Is there anything that's on it when people are registering? I've deleted a lot of people, and it's not your guys' fault. It's still business managers and other people trying to log in and get access to, and a lot of them are getting upset that they're not certain areas. So I mean, I apologize for that. Let your business manager know it was handed down to me that we wanted to make sure that it was coordinators on this, and so it's a communication tool for the coordinators and us. When somebody does register for it, if you guys don't know of anybody that hasn't registered, make sure that they are using their international bookstore email. So jason.quarter-iwu433/416. Blah 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 500-foot character. I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do with that, but that's the email we do. I've had a lot of coordinators trying to use their personal emails, and I just deny them access to that in there. So that with that, if anybody can come up with anything else that the app has that they would like, that seems to make their communication or their job a little bit easier, please let me know, and I will look into it on putting that on the app. I did put the welder continuity app in on my phone or on our app, and I have it in a jot form. So if anybody wanted to look at putting it on your local home app, doing it that way, it's more than feasible and do. And I'm still working with Steve Jones and those guys on putting in the hours app, having that available so that you guys can contact him from your home locals app and put in OJT hours for your apprentices and stuff like that if it works out just good. Well, that's an update with that. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Questions for Quarter?
Just like to know if you have a contact for this app guy, because I've gone to his website a couple times and tried to reach out to him there and call him, and I've been getting a call back. This is Chris in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, I will, I'll, once we hang up, I'll give him a call and have him reach out to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for quarter?
And
Weld
I'll
program.
take complaints too, guys.
This is being recorded, quarter. I don't know if we're going to get too many complaints. We'll save that until we hit the stop button.
Okay, all right, I understand.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, if you got anything with the WPQ1 weld program, anything, we all know Quarter's the guy. Reach out to him directly. We did have the WPQ1 last week. I was technically a student in the class. And it went really well. I can tell you that I came out of there comfortable, and I felt prepared enough to go sit for the exam. I'm going to actually schedule it this week and go get it knocked out. I told the whole class, if you go and pass that thing or don't pass that thing, make sure you give the National Training Fund some feedback on what we could have done differently, what we should have focused on, what we didn't focus on, or what we did well. And we can kind of develop that course as we go, like Quarter said. So that's important that we get that that dialogue and feedback from everybody. So, and if you go take that exam and you pass, again, send us some stuff. Hey, this is kind of what it focused on. This is kind of what it looked like. The better we can help prepare our members for this, I think the more successful we're going to be. So, okay, let's go. Let's push through. That's that. I think we're going to jump over to, oh, Jack, you got your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody from the NTF has done that AWS online seminar. Because I had my CW, I had him go through it before going to the class last week, and he said it was a great help. So just wanted to know if anybody else has done it.
I think Tannehill, didn't you go do the online webinar, or did you do in person?
I did an in-person,
Oh.
2 days. Yeah, about 2 days. But yeah, I didn't think the test was so hard that yeah. I mean, if you want to take the online thing and it doesn't cost a lot of money, take it. But if you're a CWI and you take the in-person course and you study even just a little bit, you'll pass the test. So it's not near as tricky as the CWI test was, I don't think. It's pretty it's a pretty good test.
Yeah, sitting through that course last week, for me, by the end of the week, it was like anything in the best practices or 5.4. I mean, that's just home runs. I mean, there's nothing in those two manuals that are going to catch you up. They're so small, they're so basic. Where I think some of us might get caught up is in that B2.1, when they get into some of those tables and having to find different F numbers, and even filling out that WPQR document, you may get into a little pickle there. So that's really, I think, the most important part is to make sure you've got that process and those parts of that B2.1 down. But yeah. Okay. Sweet.
I got one thing on that, James.
Yeah, Mike.
I think the National Training Fund should go ahead and purchase that. It's the standard welding procedure that kind of goes with that little lesson or that assignment that we do. I'll just admit, we kind of dropped the ball there and didn't have that ready before we sent out that assignment, and that's my fault. But having it would definitely help improve the course ahead of time. And I think it'd be better all around to have a nice clean copy, the entire thing, because we got like 3 pages of it from someone who had it, but it was the print was kind of crappy, it was spotty, and there's a whole bunch more pages that we didn't have. So bust out that credit card and purchase that damn thing. Yeah.
Okay. I will, I'll get with Quarter on that, because I agree.
Okay,
I agree with you that that if we would have had that SWPS, that exercise would have been way more effective.
right.
And it was just one exercise out of many that we did, but it would have been a little bit better. So I'll get with Quarter on that. And
Yeah.
can
I
you-
think it was effective, but it would have been a lot better if we had a nice clean copy of it.
Yeah, 100%. And if you could just shoot me in an email and remind me which SWPS that was,
Okay,
and then
I
I'll
can
get
do
with
that.
Porter and we'll see if we can't get that, see if we can't get something going there.
10-4.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, Mr. Sampson. I don't know how much Mr. Sampson has, but we'd like to hear what's going on with Global Wind, the new regional training center schedules, and if you got anything on MSHA.
So I'll start with the regional training center. I pulled the calendar up and all of January's classes are canceled. To get to the website, it's on ironworkers.org, the calendar, and under the training tab, and you click on regional training center and the live calendar will come up. Hannah is the one that's in charge of updating that. But as they get filled, she'll mark them filled. As if they get canceled, she'll mark them canceled. So I pulled up January and I can see that the WPQ1, the CWI, and the IW Rigger cert that we had scheduled for January all got canceled. Kind of surprising me. I mean, we got the calendar out early this year. Actually, earlier, the earliest we've ever gotten it out since I've been there anyway. And just an FYI, to register for these classes, you got to use that link that we send out on the listserv, because the link, you can't register from this page here, the ironworker.org. You can go in there, see the classes. If you hover over the class course, or you click on the class course, I should say, it'll give you a course description of what the course is, if there's any prerequisites. We were going to put the instructors' names in there. I guess that was something we might add later. We are adding the WPQ1 classes this year. I think there's 2 at each one of the regional training centers. Kind of the spring and fall round. We'll do a round in the winter/spring, and then another, we take a short break with the regional training centers in the summer, and then we'll get back at them in the fall. We'll have another round at each of the regional training centers. And we're also putting in 2 OSHA 500 or OSHA 502s this year. We haven't done OSHA 502s in quite a while, because what would happen when we did the 502s, it was pulling people from the 500, and we may have a small 500 class. So we stopped doing 502s probably 8 years ago. But the 502s, if you hover over them, click over them, they are a renewal. You can't be expired if you're putting somebody in a 502. We kind of put them early. February is the first one, and then I don't know for sure we have the next one. We have one in September. So the reason we put them early was so that anybody, if they're going to expire in the spring round, they can take the 502. That would catch anybody that was going to expire, so we wouldn't miss somebody. So they put them early. And then the same with the one in the September, we put it before anybody would expire. You know, we usually typically do those in October, November, December. So we put it early so anybody that's renewing can get in there. That being said, the 502 in February is pretty full. I know Texas District Council, they've got a lot of guys that need or want renewing, and they were talking about putting some more in there. If they put their guys in there, that class will fill up. I think it's over 20 already for the 502 in February. The positive thing about the 502 is it's video conferencing, so they won't have to travel, and it's only 3 days. So if you know anybody at your local, it's going to be it's first come, first serve on those. Not saying we can't schedule another one if we don't need to. But we put those in this year because we were having some pretty large 500 classes. And for guys that don't need to travel, they can do that 502 update. So any questions with the regional training center stuff before I move on? No? Okay, I'll move on to the MSHA. We're working with NABTU, the North American Building Trades. The Safety and Health Department kind of got us in touch, the National Training Fund, through the NABTU Safety Department. We got a direct line to the MSHA director. We had a video conference, quite a lengthy video conference last Tuesday or Wednesday with MSHA and several area directors with MSHA. We have a meeting scheduled with them in January. Looks like the second week of January, and a video conference one, a live one, the second week of January, and a video conference in January, middle of January. All what we're doing is all the building trades, several building trades had a similar agreement that we had with the, where they would count the OSHA 10 and they would give credit for first aid, and the 24-hour course was kind of done in, I forget if it was 8 or 10 hours. You could do a new minor. So a lot of us had that, a lot of trades had that similar agreement. So we're going to them as a one big block. And hopefully we can get, the big thing on with all of us is getting these area directors to recognize our trainers. So that's the big thing, is getting our area, all the MSHA area directors to agree to recognize all the building trades trainers when they go through this train the trainer. So it's still early yet, but fingers crossed, because we're going as one big group, the building trades, hopefully we can get them to accept our training. Might have to have them come out and observe some of our training, either at the summer program or some of your training facilities. I know I reached out to Joe Mulready, because I know he's in a big mining state out there in Colorado. So he's got some information for me, and we may, you know, reach out to their area, that area director, and have him. And if there's an area director in your area, we may contact you to say, hey, can you let them tour your facility? We want them to see that we actually do training, and it's not just, you know, a dog and pony show. We got brick and mortar facilities. We bring people in, and that might help some of these area directors with their heartburn on approving our trainers. So that's kind of where we're at with MSHA. Seems positive. The big thing is, you know, as I said, is getting these area directors to recognize our training, or our trainers, I should say. The training won't be a problem. We can get that updated, the training part. I think that can be done real quick, and get the training recognized, get it re-upped and redate, new date and new stamp on it and everything with MSHA. That part won't be a problem. To get them to recognize the training, it's the trainers, as many of you know, that have tried to go out and get trainers updated. So that's fingers crossed on that. On the global wind, GWO, I know we got Kendall Martin on the meeting with us. So if he wants to add something, he can feel free. But we've got 5 trainers now going through the training process. And actually the first week of January in DC, we'll be doing another visit with our trainers that are going to be the first trainers to do accredited with GWO. 2 of them out of local 5, 2 out of New York City, and then myself are all going through this. So we're hoping to, the clock's kind of ticking for those guys. Once you start a train, one thing I will caution several of you locals, as you're looking to get GWO training, once your trainers start, they have 6 months to complete the process and actually start training. And kind of like a weld continuity, every 6 months, they have to show that they've taught a course. So you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves on getting the trainer status, because it's quite a lengthy process. But we're working on getting them trained. I know Kendall Martin and Lee Worley, they work together on this GWO, and they agreed to hire Rick Sullivan. Many of you in here probably know Rick Sullivan or remember him. He's got a lot of the documentation squared away, putting the Ironworker template format for us. Him and another lady, AJ Fury, are working on the PowerPoints and handouts and curriculum part of the course. I think it's supposed to be finished probably before the end of the year. I know he's got two modules, I think, pretty much done. He's working on the working at heights and the material handling. Those are kind of 2 in 1. Rick Sullivan's working on those, the PowerPoint, the handout, and that's, like I said, should be done. And that's part of the meeting when we have our instructor training the first week of January. Is probably going to be doing some updating photos and stuff like that. We'll be staging some photos. We'll have the safety department in doing some safety procedures that we have to have written and stuff like that. But we got another meeting the week after that. I think that one's virtual with Siemens Gamesa. And then they'll probably be coming out the end of February. They're the consultant, and they're going to walk through our program, the end of January, first part of February, and and they think we'll be pretty close to, submitting for the final approval with GWO. And we're hoping late winter, early spring to get Local 5, the first one, up and running with the GWO. And by then we'll have the kind of the template down, and probably I know the second one will be Local 40 and 361, because they've already got trainers going through it, but they're chomping at the bit to get their facility up and running as a GWO. So anything I forgot, Kendall? Anything you want to add on that GWO?
No, Mike, actually, I think you did a good job. I mean, if there's anyone that really has any questions about the GWO requirements or what GWO is, you can email me, kmartin@iwintl.org, and we can just give you a basis for what it is. Basically, it's a European standard that we're going to have to comply with here in the States for offshore wind. And it appears as though even onshore for many things. So, and it's a lengthy process, as Mike said, and it is definitely an expensive process if you try to do it through a third party. So we're trying to bring it in-house so that we can get some return on our investment on it. And I think it's going to be good, a good training. I don't think we're fighting the standard, even though it's a European standard. But we do realize that it's pretty pricey process to a third party. So anyway, I thought you did a good job. And again, if you have any questions, you can certainly email me and let me know.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay. Anything else for Mike on GWO, Regional Training Center, MSHA? Okay. Seeing none. One thing I will say too, as we move forward and maybe this GWO, this offshore wind, moves into your area, with all of the work that, they've done over there on the East Coast with preparing for, outfitting the training centers for the training, getting their instructors and members through this training certification, being prepared for the work. But also all of this great grant funding that was awarded over there. I mean, over $1 million in grant funding over there on the West Coast or in the East Coast areas to help fund all of this work that they're doing. So we, as this global wind kind of starts to move around the country, as you start to see it move into your areas and into your industries there, we've got a lot of good templates and knowledge and stuff that we can draw on, moving forward to help us be prepared for that as it moves around the country. So that's good stuff. Let's see. Okay. So that,
One
yeah.
quick thing, James, don't mean
Go
to step over you there, but
it's good.
as Kendall said, it's onshore too. Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, they're chomping at the bit. They want to do this on the onshore global wind organization, not just offshore. That's kind of the big push right now is the offshore, but I have been told by Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, they need it up there. And then the Buffalo, Niagara Falls area, they're also doing a lot of wind turbines, and GWO is up there. So just because we're saying offshore, if you're doing wind turbines in your area, keep an ear out for GWO, Global Wind Organization.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. That's a good point. You know, and on the topic of green energy too, you know, I was having a conversation with Jason Rafter last week on this solar stuff that's you know, pushing into his area, and the laborers are kind of trying to go after it. And I know we've, you know, talked about this stuff, and so Rafter and I are actually having conversations about you know, developing some curriculum and training that we can you know, use in our areas for that work. So any of this green energy stuff, it's going to be a, you know, just all of us kind of networking together and really making sure that we're prepared as you know, all this funding came out to do all this stuff, you know, with this green energy and you know, creating the workforce and, you know, supporting the registered apprenticeship programs to fill those jobs and fill the need of the industries. You know, it's going to be important that we're kind of all working together. So okay, anything else on that? We're getting close. All right. I just wanted to touch real quick. Lee wanted me to make sure that I kind of reminded everybody, you know, during these holidays, you know, suicide awareness and prevention is a big topic now. There's a lot of resources out there. I know some of you locals have training within your programs on suicide prevention, and just to be aware, this time of year it gets kind of tough for some people, and we always see, you know, kind of a rise in occurrences and stuff. So if you have third-party folks you're working with, or you have training that you actually do within your programs that touches on this topic, you know, get it to me, and we can kind of help share it out and stuff, and just keep that awareness going. Another thing that was really cool that I wanted to make sure we talked about, that we've been talking about a lot in the National Training Fund, the California vicinity, Jason Rafter, Mike Peterson down there, they hosted an active shooter training course in Benicia to pretty good reception. And it looks like they're thinking about kind of expanding that to, you know, across their district council to all of their apprenticeship programs, and that just being kind of part of it. And I asked Rafter if maybe he'd, you know, spend a couple minutes telling us kind of how that went down, you know, what the value was there, and kind of some of their thought process about, you know, moving in that direction. Rafter?
Yeah, you know, what we did is obviously it's something that is happening more and more often. So I wanted to be a little proactive with it. So I got a hold of the local sheriff's department here in Northern California, and they were able and happy to offer a class for free for our instructors. We had, I don't know, probably 30 people in the class. We had a business manager in there. We had a bunch of admin assistants, instructors, coordinators. It was 4 hours, and they had a presentation that they gave. And I mean, pretty much the bottom line is, if you're going to run as fast as you can. If you're going to hide the best that you can. And if you're going to fight, you better fight like, you know, there's the worst fight you ever been in. I mean, that was the nuts and bolts of it, but it was a good presentation. And I think Mr. Huth down in Los Angeles, he's been talking with his sheriff's department, and they're going to have a class down there for the southern portion of California. Over in Arizona, Danny Wood, he's talking to his sheriff's department to try to get them in over there. So for everybody else out there, I think it would be good to have a relationship with your sheriff's department. Have them come down. They'll do the class free of charge. It's kind of good to have their presence there every once in a while too. You know, it might keep the apprentices a little bit more in check too. But all in all, it was a good course. We had lunch that was provided for the students, and it was good. You're muted, James.
I think they actually, thanks, Jason. I think they actually recorded it too. So we're going to have a video coming out that maybe we can share. And, you know, we were kind of really excited about it. And we started having a discussion on the National Training Fund about, you know, the possibility of having this being offered at the annual training in Michigan, to where, you know, coordinators have been through all the classes and stuff, for this is something that you could sit through, you know, maybe we do it you know, I don't know what the hours or whatever. So I know that Lee was reaching out to the college. You know, they have that cadet training right there on the on site. So we've already got kind of a law enforcement presence there. And so maybe we can look at, you know, getting that for you guys at the annual training as well. So.
And I did speak with Nathan Friday. I should have the video hopefully today or tomorrow, so I can get it to Lee, so that whatever it is, how he wants to send it out or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we'd like to get that up on the National Training Fund's YouTube eventually. Jim, real quick, what do you got?
Yeah, just to step back on the solar training and the green energy. We have a conference call, I think, with Jason tomorrow with the vendor Next Tracker that donated the mock-up and stuff. And they also donated the solar panels. I know we seem like, as iron workers, we don't ever claim stuff, but should we train to put it on the panels too and let the electricians just plug it in? I know in our area right now that electricians actually put up the panels, but I don't know why as an organization we're always so nice. Everybody, electricians around here, oh, if it bolts to our thing, we claim it. Do we ever look into just claiming it ourselves?
You know, I think that's area specific. I'm not super familiar with the industry. It's not a huge industry up in the Pacific Northwest where I live, because it rains all the time. So I don't know a lot.
We got donated the panels too. And like I said, I can bolt the panels on to the mock-up just as well and train my apprentices to it. But I mean, when they start getting it, I mean, I don't know, that could be for the business managers and stuff too. But we definitely have all the capabilities to bolt it up and say, hey, if it comes to the electrician, good, you can plug each panels in together, not actually attached to our structure, just like they do on all kinds of stuff too. If they're doing wiring, they claim it. And I don't know, sometimes we need to claim our stuff too. And then I don't know, this is my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's all valid points. I mean, obviously on your local union side, capturing that market and then making sure that us as registered apprenticeships are prepared and training to it so we can, you know, make the skilled workforce. I think that's kind of how this whole thing is supposed to work. So yeah, good point.
We just always claim to be the nice guys and stuff, as the laborers try to claim our work, as electricians try to claim our work, as everybody tries to claim our work, and we just try to be the ethical ones. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Well, that's why you went to the training, Jim, and we were able to get that mock-up down to you, because you indentured 90 apprentices for solar work. I mean, yes, absolutely. You should have your apprentices put the panels on, which is why, you know, they were sent down to you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
that's
James,
my thoughts too.
James, just so you know, there was 10 instructors that we sent to Next Tracker's headquarters to get some training so that we can prove that we're doing the work. And I would suggest that, you know, more locals try to do that, you know, reach out to whoever it is. I mean, if you've got a contractor that's close to it, I mean, with the legislation that came down, you know, with all the green energy, the solar is not going to go away. It's going to only increase. So the more people that we have trained, and the proof that we have that we're doing the training is going to be a feather in our cap. I mean, when it comes to, Jim, the question you asked about, you know, claiming the work, I mean, that's going to be more on the local side than the apprenticeship side. But yeah, I mean, you've got everything there. You should show them how to do everything.
Yep.
And Jim, actually, you should take some pictures of that mock-up and post them or send them via email on the listserv so that everybody can see it. So you got 3 bays. It's a good deal. And hey, I still haven't gotten a bill from Next Tracker, so that's pretty good. So anyways, yeah, on that call tomorrow, we're going to try to expand it.
Perfect. Yep. All good points. Okay, I'm trying to get everybody out. We're 2 minutes over, which is okay. We've had some good conversation today. I wanted to give Bart a couple seconds as this new LMS rolled out. You know, and we kind of talked about that. We're kind of into that now. How's that looking? You know, some of the thoughts, what he's doing on his end, what he's seeing, and just kind of give everybody a quick update on there. Bart?
Thanks, James. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so far so good. You know, we're dealing with a few kind of unique incidences in certain locals, but there's nothing globally happening right now that's a real problem. It seems to be going fairly smoothly. I'm working on the 2023 budget for the LMS for this coming year with Spanish titles and core courses and class presentations, and we're also talking about closed captioning for those. I see Jason's out there. So that's kind of where we're at. If you all have any, you know, any issues that you're having with the LMS, of course, let us know at klmssupport@iwintl.org. But it all seems to be going really well.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Bart. I appreciate that. Anything for Bart on LMS? Brian?
Hey, Bart, any movement on it talking to the ATS?
We're still working with with IT on that. And we've got this one person in IT that seems to be the live wire that's, you know, communicating with us. And I know that Jason's been in communication with her over the past couple of weeks. So we plan on continuing to push that forward in the new year, but I don't have any new nuggets for you right now.
No new nuggets. Okay. Well, you know, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Okay. I guess really at the end of the day, that's kind of all I have. I am going to, at this point, stop the recording, and I will make this all available on YouTube for everybody for review. I will chapter it all out so you don't have to watch the thing. You can skip to whatever you want. And